of us in 2 lanes.
Oh, I bet your heart was pounding.
Well, they want to wreck. I had my Subaru, so I figured, well,
I mean, I was watching the
I had insurance, but it was bad.
The Jetsons. Look at this.
I got another thing. Isn't that sweet?
He talks.
It's a microphone and sometimes you've got.
Well, we're talking about the Jetsons.
Oh, look at Fowler's got nice stuff.
He does have it.
I've never had stuff like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. We are calling the meeting to order of the September 9th Daytona Beach Shores. Sherry, can you take a roll, please?
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Vice Mayor Flightus,
Here.
Commissioner Card,
Here.
Commissioner Economos,
Here.
Commissioner Dembinski.
Here.
And let me remind everyone to log in and say that you're present and voting on your screens if you haven't already done that.
And where's that? Where's that?
Okay, before we get started here, I want to let you know, we have a new software update. We just came off of a training session. So we might have a little bit of hiccups, but we're saving the city tons of money by not printing out the agendas. But please bear with us. We will do as much as we can to move this along.
So if you did not leave the prior meeting, you have to go out to the meeting page. Leave that meeting, it'll pop up with a new green button to join the current meeting.
Sherry, please let us know when everybody is in.
I just need Chris.
Oh, and you automatically do it?
Thank you. So again, you know, we will be all referring back and forth. I have a little bit more capabilities, and Sherry is the master of everything here, so we'll be looking back and forth. But again, we appreciate your patience in advance. Reverend Melissa? So Reverend Melissa from the Drive-In Christian Church will be leading us in the invocation this evening. Please stand.
Let's pray. We come before you tonight grateful for the opportunity to serve the citizens of this city in the many different capacities represented here in this room. We come asking for your divine wisdom, guidance, and direction as our leaders conduct the business of this city. Help each of us to listen when it is time to listen, and to speak when it is time to speak. Help us all to make good and wise decisions that truly do work to make life better here for everyone. I also pray for our first responders who deal with a plethora of challenges both personally and professionally. And finally, I pray for our families, the families of our elected officials and our first responders who oftentimes sacrifice time together so that they can tend to the needs of others. I lift up each of these people to you in your mighty and holy name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we'll start out with new business, our trim process, Resolution 2024-13. It's a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, adopting the tentative levying of ad valorem taxes for Volusia County for fiscal year 2024-25, providing an effective date. Attorney Vos, will you read that in its entirety for us, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. This is resolution number 2024-13, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, adopting the tentative levying of ad valorem taxes for Volusia County for fiscal year 2024-2025, providing an effective date. Whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida on September 9th, 2024, adopted fiscal year 2024-2025 tentative millage rate following a public hearing as required by Florida statute section 200.065, and Whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within Volusia County has been certified by the county property appraiser to the City of Daytona Beach Shores as $2,221,720,136. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, that Section 1, the fiscal year 2024-2025 operating millage rate is 4.5880 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 4.2175 mils by 8.78%. Section 2, the date and time of the final millage rate hearing shall be Tuesday, September 24th, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers located at 3000 Bellamede Drive, Daytona Beach Shores, Florida, 32118, and shall be followed immediately by the tentative budget hearing. Section 3, any resolution or part of this resolution in conflict herewith is hereby repealed. Section 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. Passed and duly adopted in a public hearing this 9th day of September 2024. Time adopted 6:07 p.m. Sorry, you haven't voted yet, so we won't put that time down yet.
Okay, Director Irwin, is there anything that you want to explain to us? I know in our last budget workshop, we had a very detailed description of what was going on. Do you have anything else for us?
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Lori Irwin, Finance Director. No, we are actually maintaining the same millage rate as the current fiscal year of 4.5880 mils. And I just put on your screen just what the other municipalities are actually proposing their rates, their rollbacks. And you can see the change from their rollbacks. And we are still in the bottom 25%.
Perfect. Thank you for everything you do to get us to that. So it seems good to be 14 out of 16. Thank you. Do we have any questions for our director? Director, I do have one, and I might have misunderstood our attorney. So on the paperwork that I'm going to read right now, I see it's a 7.87% increase, so I might be looking at something wrong. What is the 8.78 that was in the resolution that she read?
What it is it's the change from the rollback rate. So the rollback rate is what rate it would take to get the same funding as we had in this current fiscal year. And that was actually at a 4.2175 mils.
So, so my question was, is it a 7.87 increase, or is it 8.7?
It's 8.7, sorry.
Okay, so in my document here, I'm changing that to 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad I noticed that.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Director Irwin, and I don't know if you have the answer to the question. Interesting, why are some of the other municipalities, is it because they miscalculated their budget that they have to go back and increase the millage rate, or is it because the assessed values were lower than anticipated?
It's based on their budget and their funding needs.
Capital expenditures, things like that. Okay, thank you.
And again, in this screen, any of these screens that we're now in, we can hit request to speak.
Sorry about that.
Okay, and we're just gonna flow along here. If anyone else has any questions for our director, please hit the request to speak, and we will gladly let you ask a question. Is that it?
I'm gonna get fired.
The public hearing is now open for fiscal year 2024-25 millage rates. This hearing is to establish the tentative millage rate of 4.5880 mils, which is a 8.78 increase over the rollback rate of 4.2175 mils, and to establish the date of the final public hearing as September 24th, 2024, at 6 p.m. at the City Commission Chambers, 3000 Bellmead Drive, Daytona Beach Shores, Florida, 32118. I am now opening this up to allow members of the public to speak and ask any questions that you have before we adopt this tentative millage rate. Do I see anyone out that has any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, I'm going to close this public comment. I will now entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-13, setting the millage rate at 4.5880. If you would like to have the motion, please request to speak. Vice Mayor Politis?
It was quick, huh? Like I could play on the game show. I so move to accept ordinance 2024-13.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? If not, if by hitting your,
Sherry has to do that.
Sherry,
Want me to start it?
yes,
Do we have the
yes,
people?
Sherry, please start now. And the vote will be up on the screen for everyone to see. And the motion passed 5-0. Thank you very much.
Technology.
Okay, we have now adopted the tentative operating millage rate is set at 4.5880 mils, which is a 8.78% over the rollback millage rate of 4.2175 mils, and the date of the final public hearing is set for September 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at City Commission Chambers, 3000 Bellmead Drive, Daytona Beach Shores, Florida, 32118. Okay, next we are going to go on to Resolution 2024, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. Attorney Boyce, can you read that for us, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is Resolution 2024-14, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, providing for an effective date. Whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, on September 9th, 2024, held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the annual budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $34,456,800. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, that 1, the fiscal year 2024-2025 final budget be adopted. 2, this resolution will take effect immediately upon its adoption, duly adopted at a public hearing this 9th day of September 2024.
Thank you. Finance Director, I understand there's something you wanted to make a correction to. Can you please give us that now?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Lori Irwin, Finance Director. I had given you a packet, and in there is a budget summary. This is a budget summary ad that we actually have to turn in and have advertised prior to our final hearing at the end, at the next commission meeting. And when putting this together, this year we actually made a capital improvement fund separate from our general fund or our sewer fund. But when putting this ad together, as you can see, everything's separated out. An error was found with the transfer out from the general fund to the general fund capital improvement fund. So that error actually was $1.7 million. That moves from one account to another. And then what happens is that money sits as a reserve in that account. It earns interest and everything until it's needed for those capital improvements.
Okay, do we have any questions about what our finance director just stated?
The other thing, sorry, in that packet of paperwork, there are 10 pages that changed in your agenda due to this error.
Thank you for letting us know that. And again, thank you for all your hard work on getting this budget. Thank you very much for having our millage rate be very, very competitive in the rest of Volusia County. We greatly appreciate everything. And I'm sure our residents do too. So that brings us up to the public hearing is now open on fiscal year 2024-25 budget for public comment. What comment do I have from our residents or audience? Okay. Yes, sir. Please state your name when you come up. Yes, thank you.
Ed Offerman, 3311 South Atlantic. I'm just curious, Madam Mayor, if I can ask the finance director a question as to how the healthcare costs were reduced by 11, I don't see the numbers up there now, the 11%, and you did a good job.
Want
the
to know how we
council
do it,
and the
okay.
Finance director, but I want to know how to reduce my healthcare costs by 11%. Thank you.
Laura Irwin, Finance Director. We actually bid out our health insurance this year, and we had some very good advantageous rates given back to the city.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking that initiative to try and save the money in that area. Greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure our residents appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Offerman, for that question. Any other questions? Okay, if not, I'm now going to close public comment. And I think on this particular one, Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, we really don't need speakers. I can just take a motion from the floor?
You can do a motion.
Okay, all right. I will take a motion verbally to adopt Resolution 2024-14, adopting the fiscal year 2024-25 tentative annual budget of $34,456,800.
Also move.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, if not, can we take a vote on it now, Sherry? Okay, and this one also passed 5-0. Thank you. Thank you to my commissioners for, I think we're getting along pretty well here on these votes, but appreciate it. Again, Sherry, Lori, staff, thank you very much for your diligence on this. We are now going to move on to the ceremonial items, presentations, and public notice. And we are now going to have a request, a presentation from our Volusia County tax collector to support Kids Tag Art. How fitting you were here right when we were talking about our annual budget.
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to collecting that for you. Thank you, everyone, for giving us a few minutes today to share information about this program that we brought to Volusia County last year. It's called Kids Tag Art. We will explain how it works this evening and the impact it's had after its first year. Up until this year, we've had about 14 other tax collectors in the state that offer the Kids Tag Art program. And according to the Florida Tax Collectors Association, the idea for the Kids Tag Art project came from the Great American Teach-In, where the tax collector staff would volunteer in area school classrooms. And instead of talking about taxes, they would share about specialty tags and the important work that these foundations do. The first program began in Polk County in 2006. At the end of the past school year, through Kids Tag Art programs, participating Florida tax collectors have raised nearly $2.4 million for fifth grade elementary school art programs. This year, RJ Longstreet Elementary School is participating in our program. And with that, I will hand it over to my Public Affairs Administrator, Holly Smith, and she'll explain the program.
Welcome, Holly.
Good evening, Holly Smith, Public Affairs Administrator for the Office of Will Roberts Tax Collector. Thank you for giving us a few minutes to talk about the Kids Tag Art program today. When we start, I'm gonna use my, there we go. Think about when you were 11 years old in fifth grade. What was your favorite subject that wasn't an academic subject? PE, art, music. Basically, a lot of us would say PE, maybe music. But I bet your refrigerator looked like this at one point, with your parents putting your art on the fridge, or maybe with your children or grandchildren's art on the fridge. So art does play a role in all of our lives. I'm not here to talk about all the research that's been done or the stories or dissertations that have been written that talk about the importance of art for a well-rounded education, but what we do want to just touch on lightly to set the stage for why we're doing this is about the budgets here in Volusia County. Even though everyone would agree that art is important for a well-rounded education, the budgets are tight, and in Volusia County this year, 3 elementary schools lost their art teacher. That's how tight they are. So when you look at, in general, now, none of these numbers are for every school. The only number that's consistent across all schools is $75 from the school board for elementary school art programs. $75 per year. In addition to that, the teachers also get a budget. Last year it was $270. This year, that for additional classroom funds, it's called a wallet. This year they have not been given their number. They don't know how much or if, what it will be. And then finally, some schools can get additional school-based funds, whether it's the principal puts them aside or the PTA, some additional funds. But what I will tell you is the schools we have participating can't afford to do that. So, as Mr. Roberts said, Longstreet Elementary is participating this year. They're one of our 10 participating schools. And just to really briefly set the stage, I'd like art teacher Jane Failer to come up and tell you a little bit about how the budget impacts have affected her school right down the road.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commission. So art, I feel it really sets the stage for all students to be successful. Longstreet Elementary is a Title I school with a greater percentage of lower economic families. Currently, we are one of the highest have homeless population per capita. We usually rank in the top 5. Currently, we're at 5.6% homelessness. We're also, our English language learners is at 8.2%, and then our students that receive special education services at 13.2%. And art provides a platform for them to be successful. Research also shows that students that struggle academically, when they're successful in the arts, it helps them to be more successful with gains in reading and mathematics. So I get to see in art those that are learning English and struggle in academics, where they get to be successful and may have art up in public, like in our city hall currently, even if they're not meeting standards quite yet in reading and math. So it's a spot for them to shine, no matter their home life or their challenges. So those are my students. Yeah, I really appreciate it lets them express their heart and their vision in ways without just using words. And just for a visual of the budget, Longstreet is part of that. So the district, we have 340 students, I think 3 enrolled today, so 343 students. The district gives us about that much money, 1/4 for each student. And then if the class wallet is refunded, then we get about a little less than $1 per student funding from the district and school. And we do have great partners in the community, like the Drive-In Church that does drives for supplies. So once the students have their backpacks and those things filled, then the leftover, like crayons and markers, get to come into the art room. Then occasionally we have a community member that I meet maybe in a public event that I share just what's going on Longstreet, and they'll drop off a check for us occasionally. So that's also helpful and much appreciated. And then the extra supplies, so basically I first start by meeting basic supplies, so drawing supplies, collaging, and basic watercolor paint. And then any additional funds that come in go to other types of art. For example, tempera paint sticks, which is a favorite among kids, liquid watercolors, print foaming blocks, so printing, exposure, permanent markers, and then different types of clay, from earthenware clay with the kiln to air dry, and magic model clay, yarn for hand sewing coordination, and then even stronger glue like tacky glue to do more like paper construction. So just the budget just impacts what I get to expose the children to. We still do art and I'm creative, so even if we just have basics, we're going to do art, express our ideas, but the more funding we have, the more exposure kids get to those supplies. And then also a lot of them, they'll only ever use outside of the art room, probably over 50%, just drawing supplies like basic crayons, markers, and pens. And if they don't get exposure to other things within the elementary art school, some of those students will never touch a different type of medium of art, like earthenware clay that goes in the kiln if it's not in the elementary school classroom. So it gives them a lot of opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
So $1.25, that's pretty much what we've been hearing is that they can't even afford to buy the paper and the markers. That's where their money goes, paper, markers, and crayons. It's the extra money that allows them to add more to their supplies. So what's the goal of the Kids Tag Art program? Well, first we want to raise money for public elementary school art programs. Goal number 2 is to integrate civics education with art theory. I'm going to tell you really quickly how we do that in a second. And the goal 3 is to encourage the students and promote self-efficacy so that they know that they can reach those goals, as Ms. Failer was explaining. So here's how it works. That's Ms. Failer teaching her class last week, 2 weeks ago, I think? 2 weeks ago. Doing the lesson. So we get partners, elementary schools to partner with us. This year we have 10 elementary schools, 8 of them are Title I, which means low income. They don't get those donations from the community or from the parents, and the PTA can't raise as much just simply because it's just not there. Then they conduct a lesson on Florida's specialty license plate program. You guys probably know that the beach plate with the surfer plate is the #1 in the state right now. That's the biggest example of the specialty tag program that the state offers. Money from the sale of those plates goes back to support foundations that put the plate out there. So they teach them that, and then the art theory comes in. They get to design their own plates. We're going to show you just a couple of them in just a second, but they're vanity type plates. They go on the front, not the back of the car. And then financially, so how does that make money? That all sounds great and it's fun and colorful, but the money comes 2 ways. It's a dual-prong approach. First, the teachers can sell the plates that the students design at the school level. They get to keep that money right there in their programs. But the problem is 8 of our schools are Title I. So the sales just aren't there the way they could be. One school is probably going to go off the charts because they're in an area, a city north of here, where they have the support from the community and the parents. So that is why we're here. The second prong of that, Mr. Roberts has us managing this program. We go out and we get sponsorship funds from the community. Municipalities, nonprofits, and businesses. And those sponsorships are put into a pot in Futures. Futures Foundation holds the money for us. After the program cost, and all of our time is donated, the program costs are taken out, they're hard costs, and then what's left is divided equally among all participating schools. So all of the net proceeds this year will be divided by 10, and then it goes back to the schools. And finally, we're also seeking a mini grant to cover the costs so that more money from the sponsorship can go back to those schools. This is what it looks like. After our first year, the kids design their plates, the teacher picked the winning designs, and now we go and show them off, which is another aspect of the students. They get to see their art in public. We thought it was pretty, it brings people to our booth, but guess what? They want to buy the plates. We're not set up to do sales. We don't even want to hold money. We don't touch money. Money goes to Futures, bypasses us. So we're in the process now of working with the vendor to set up a point of sale so they can buy these plates when they're out on the street or in a display somewhere or even online. And then we also, our top 2 sponsorship levels, gold and platinum, they get to choose from the plates their favorite plate, and they make an award. It's their sponsor award. So if you chose one of those levels, it would be the City of Daytona Beach Shores Sponsor Award. You select your plate, you get it in a nice frame, the student does too, and you get to present it at the 5th grade award ceremony, the graduation ceremony at the end of the year. So the impact of the first year, Faith Scribano went out of her way to pilot the program with us and help us work the bugs out. She was the only school the first year. It worked out well for her because she got the money that we raised, but of course we weren't very good at raising money because that's just not what we do. But she's going to keep it brief and tell you a little bit about how that money impacted her students.
Hi, I'm Faith Scrivano. I was the pilot school. I got lucky because her coworker, I have her daughter, actually both of her daughters now, so I got lucky to be the pilot school. But I got $4,000, so I care to differ that being the only school, so if that's divided by 10, that's not going to be very much. But these are our designs from last year that we picked. And my kids are working really hard currently to make sure they can get picked. We are picking 5 from each school, and I was able to purchase a lot more markers this year, so they had a lot of color choices, and made sure I had all the choices I could think of that we didn't have last year. I was able to purchase brand new crayons without having to honestly beg, because sometimes that's what we have to do. And I bought containers, airproof containers, so if someone does leave a cap off of a marker, it's not gonna dry out because our markers are sealed in an airproof container. Overnight, it's not gonna dry out. I actually had a broken table when I came back. I spent $550 to replace a table. Easily. I didn't have to go beg my principal to buy me a table. I was easily to say, hey, I have this money, and she just had to sign off on it, because we have to sign off on everything we do. But it's nice to just know that I have that. If my kiln breaks, which my kids love to do clay, I can easily say, hey, this is broken, this is what I need to happen, because I do have that cushion. I'm not a huge, like, let me go splurge and buy a bunch of stuff, but my classroom is a little, decrepit, falling apart. It does need some things. I do need a couple more tables. So I am looking at trying to find the company I bought the table from. It does have a couple little spots, and they are giving a hard time about sending me a different one. So I am going to have to find a better purchase place, but yes, I am trying to use and spend money smartly. Last year I ended up using Donors Choose to get paper and all that. I do actually have a little bit of a budget at my school, but I can actually use that budget and give it to my PE coaches so they can replace things that have been broken for a while, rather than me use it, because I do have a larger amount of money that I got from last year. But I was very happy to be a part of the program, and look forward to continuing it and spreading it throughout the county.
Thank you so much for coming today to present to us. So, Holly, I do have a question. Did I understand you saying that no matter what, so we've more or less adopted Longstreet, because we don't have that's not even in Daytona Beach Shores proper. But, we go there, our public safety goes there all the time. Did I understand you say, like, if any contributions come from Daytona Beach Shores, it gets spread out with the 10, it would not be unique?
Correct, and that is a question that all of the cities that we've spoken with have asked. Everybody wants to give the money just to their school, and you can do that. It just, in Kids Tag Art, to be fair, everything gets spread.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure I understood.
And the students will grow up, and they will move around, so it's not that your money won't benefit the city. At some point, we can track that. But, so the ways you can support: first, you can sponsor. Sponsorship levels are 200, at 250, 750, 1,500 is the gold level. That's the one that gets you the frame, and you get to go to the award ceremony. And we also have a community display that roves around that we can come and leave at City Hall, so you can show off the art. Platinum levels are taken. That's by, I'll show you in just a second. You could buy a plate. You could go over to Longstreet, November-ish, December-ish, and get the plates from them. And finally, you could share our posts, which are on Facebook at Volusia Tax. These are our sponsors this year. Again, Platinum Advent Health, thank you very much, and the Family Resource Center from the Volusia Sheriff's Foundation. And then, of course, we have gold sponsors. And if you happen to have a business, any of you, and when you would like to sponsor, we're open for business.
And I think Felicia had one.
Yeah, if you want the money to go straight to the school, when I sold the plates, the money stayed at my school rather than going through Futures. So if you want to go to the school when our plates are done and we are selling, you can look at the, I don't know exactly, things we're doing is a different print company this year. So you can purchase through the school, and the money will not leave her at the school.
Okay, and how much do the plates sell for?
They were, I believe it was 20, and you get a plate and a key fob. Okay. I think 2 key fobs, a plate and 2 key fobs. I would have to double check that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Okay.
So you get a license plate for the front and 2 key fobs.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, any questions of anyone? Oh, Holly, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was it, question.
That was it, okay. What questions do we have?
I signed up.
I have,
You push the button.
yeah, I have Michael Politis, you were in first. What is your question?
So, Ms. Smith, do you, how's the money handled? How do you collect it? How do you distribute it? Who's in charge?
So all sponsorships goes directly to Futures Foundation, that's the foundation for Volusia County Schools. They take the sponsorship funds, they hold them, we submit our invoices for any purchases that are made, and then at the end of the school year, they divide by 10 and they ship the checks. And the money, Faith was telling us, came to the school, went into her budget, and the school could not touch it for anything else. That's why she's feeling, this is not the Faith we spoke with last year. The Faith we spoke with last year was, you know, I don't want to say destitute, but destitute for art supplies. And at the end of the year, she got her looms, you didn't mention your looms fixed, but now you can see she's more comfortable because she has a little bit of a cushion to pay for those things. So no money is touched by any staff or anyone at the Volusia County Tax Collector's Office.
Thank you, Michael. Any other questions? No. All right, then.
I did want to mention that, so we are working with the vendor to, as Holly mentioned, we get a lot of requests out in the public for people to purchase that. So we are working with our vendor to be able to provide something, that locate at our outreach events, to be able to scan a QR code and buy a tag right there and there. So we are looking forward to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone.
We might have a couple more questions. Commissioner Economos?
Yes. I'm very excited about that. It sounds like a fantastic program. Now, I really actually have a question, I think, for maybe Kurt or maybe Chief Fowler, but I've seen different tags on law enforcement vehicles throughout the state. You know, I've seen some officers have die flags or whatever. Is there any way we could purchase a plate for each utility vehicle or public works vehicle, law enforcement vehicle, and put them on the front? And that's a question really toward Kurt.
Am I allowed to go ahead? Okay.
You're on the list.
You're on the list, but do I end, Chris? Or are you done?
I'm done. That would be my request, is if we can do that for each vehicle. And again, I know we may not be able to, but that's just an idea.
We can certainly look into it.
Okay, and Kurt, you're up.
Right, okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to go off topic. Sorry, Will.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask Ms. Failer to stand up for a second. You may not know it yet, but if you haven't been in City Hall recently, we now have children's artwork. We had a group that was doing artwork, but we felt it'd be awesome to partner with R.J. Longstreet and Ms. Failer. So every couple of months, she is going to be bringing artwork from her students, and we'll be displaying it in City Hall. And then we've also are creating a little award that, if the children so choose, we'll recognize them at a city commission meeting. Didn't know she was coming tonight. I would have maybe thrown some snapshots of what artwork we have up. But I just want to publicly say thank you. I think it's going to be a great little partnership for the city, and love kids' art.
Mrs. Mayor, may I add one thing? Not to add to any pressure, but the City of New Smyrna Beach and the City of Ormond Beach have already come on board as sponsors. City of DeLand is just waiting to tell us what their amount is, so no pressure out there. The gold level would be great for you, because you can put it in the student award and get something to add to your art display.
Okay, great.
And in that case, you could have the roving display come through if you'd like as well.
Thank you. And may I ask that we get this added onto our next agenda so that we will know? Normally, we don't vote on anything that's not already on the agenda. So we have a meeting on September 24th, and we will plan to add it to that agenda, either Commissioner Economos's idea, or see if we can do the sponsor, and we'll come up with something. But thank you so much for being here today, Ms. Foley. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Kurt, do you want to take this one?
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. So I'm proud to announce that the mayor has earned the certificate program, the gold certificate of excellence for the certificate program for elected municipal officials. through the Florida League of Cities University. It's a program, training levels, and you can earn a bronze, silver, or gold level, and depending on the training programs that you participate in. And it's just to recognize the effort that the commissioners or mayors are putting into learning about their job and furthering their skills and abilities. And I believe this is the second year in a row, Mayor. The mayor has earned the gold certificate, so I'd like to go ahead and present the gold certificate.
Want us in the picture?
Just you guys, or?
Just us, and then take one of all of us too, Tammy, if you could do both, please. Okay, come on in. You got everyone?
Everybody, this way, everybody this way.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, I would like to acknowledge too that my previous fellow commissioner, Mal Landauer, that was in the audience, was a recipient of this last year, and I have no doubt if he was still with us that he would have been on there too. So thank you for sharing that honor with me, Mel. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, next we are going to move on to approval of the minutes of the City Commission meeting from August 27th, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
Thought we had to hit the button.
I thought we did, well, no,
You don't have,
no,
for
we're-
this, they can just,
yeah. This is work in progress now, we decided.
That's what I was thinking, so now I'm withdrawing my request. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the minutes of August 27th, 2024? Sherry, can you take a vote, please?
Click see. I'm just testing with it. Okay.
Sherry, I think I pushed yes. Is it me?
it passed.
Oh, it passed. Passed 5-0. Thank you very much. Again, for anyone that's new in the audience, this is a new software we're using, so we're working through it. Okay, next we are going to go on to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have,
Madam Mayor,
oh, I'm sorry.
sorry to interrupt, but I don't think your microphone's on.
Thank you. My back row is supposed to be telling me that.
That's right.
No consent.
No consent items, no wonder I couldn't open it. Okay, next we are going to move on to old business.
Nope, keep
No
going.
old business. Okay, next we are going into a quasi judicial hearing, and that is on site plan RSP 12023048, Shores Depot All Aboard Storage. And we have our new city planner, Glenn Hirschberg, to talk to us about it. If I can't hear, nothing's there.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, and anyone else celebrating a birthday today.
Sherry, before we begin, do you need to swear in now or after the?
Right now.
Okay, all right, one moment, please. If our city clerk can swear anyone in, is it quasi judicial?
If anyone's going to be speaking tonight on this item, I need you to stand up so you can be sworn in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth during tonight's hearing?
Thank you. And before we begin, was there anyone on the dais that had any ex parte communication about any of these items?
No.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Herstein, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Gwen Herstein, City Planner for the City of Daytona Beach Shores. The project we have before you tonight is a new second building for the Shores Depot All Aboard Storage, proposed for 2616 South Atlantic Avenue. The owner applicant is Andy Clark. He is here this evening. Project coordinator is engineer Garrett Bogart, and this is for a property of approximately 1.56 acres. It's located on the west side of South Atlantic Avenue, immediately south of Beachcomber Park. You can see it, the red arrow. It's basically about halfway between Silver Beach Avenue and Dunlawton Boulevard on A1A. The shaded in green area is city property, so it's right somewhat near the edge of our properties. This is an aerial view of the site and properties around it. This is a very recent picture taken of the building the way it currently sits. And as you'll see in some upcoming pictures, the proposed building will be positioned immediately west of this building. So the shaded lavender color is the existing building that we just saw, and the proposed building footprint behind it of 12,450 square feet is the building shown in like a greenish teal to the west. You can see setbacks have been listed here showing 20 feet to the north, 20 feet to the west, and 29.8 feet to the south. This is a proposed elevation of the east facade. The features that you see in this picture and the next are consistent with condition 3 of a special exception number 12022-030, which was passed specifically for the allowability to build this project. Condition 3 asked for a couple of items, architectural features for the project, namely a Mediterranean style with a barrel tile roof element and faux windows with shutters. You can see those also prominent on the west facade, along with some of the landscaping. Not a direct representation of what's been proposed, but the locations are a direct representation. You can see both the north and south facade showing those same elements. The site plan is consistent with the interior storage facility, which was allowed by that special exception. That was approved back in March 13th, 2023. You can see that items like building height, parking, the setbacks, the use itself have all been met. The plan is consistent with the Daytona Beach Shores comp plan and all the land development requirements. This is the proposed landscape plan, and you can see basically the red shape along the western side is where the property abuts to the north, and also all the way along the west, but I didn't make that red, is adjacent to the north portion of Sea Havens townhomes. And then where it starts in green is where Beachcomber Park begins, and then it proceeds to the east along to A1A. The landscape plan analysis was completed. 22 trees were proposed for the property. Only 12 were required. A mixture of 7 different tree types have been proposed and approved through staff and through the planning and zoning. They are also recommending approval, though only 2 different types were required. They are showing 7. Again, the landscape plan is consistent with all land development requirements. The special exception was approved by the Planning and Zoning Board along with 8 conditions. And these conditions 1 through 8 have all been met by the submitted plans, with the exception of number 5, which is actually pending building permitting. They agreed to use low-level 1-story lighting on the west side of the building, and that's something that will be looked for and checked for upon building permitting. Publication of notice in the newspaper is required at least 10 days prior to tonight's hearing. This is an affidavit showing that that was completed. Placard is required to be posted, a pretty orange one, in this case, was posted on the property, had needed to be there at least 10 days prior to tonight's hearing, and you can see that it was. You can also see an affidavit regarding the dates that it was erected. As far as additional requirements, the comp plan the project is consistent with our comprehensive plan. Like I just showed you, the public noticing requirements have been met and provided for the record in terms of proof. And the staff review was completed and it has been approved. It has met all requirements. Planning and Zoning Board gave a recommendation on August 12th of this year with the conditions that we just discussed. Those are also identified in your packet called Exhibit H, and that's on page 50. I will tell you that since the Planning and Zoning Board did recommend approval to the City Commission, landscape plans at that point showed 30 trees and currently show 22 trees. Both of these tree amounts do meet the requirements of the Land Development Code and also the conditions that were provided. Staff is recommending approval as presented, along with the conditions identified in Exhibit H, which you have in your packet on page 50.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. You mentioned lighting in there too. I know, looking over, most of them are commercial buildings around there, but I do see that Sea Havens is right behind there. Tell me how any of the lighting, because those are 2 stories with bedrooms up there. Tell me how any of the lighting might affect townhomes in Sea Haven.
Basically, I can tell you that as previously the code enforcement officer for the city, I did some preliminary previous lighting evaluations at this property, and there were a couple of lights that were affecting the properties immediately to the east of the Sea Havens along that west side, and they had reached out, and upon evaluation of them, there were a couple of key lights which did produce a glare, and that's what's meant to be it's prohibited by our code. Upon those lights being pointed out to the owner, Andy Clark, he immediately rectified them and installed a lower intensity, more shielded kind of a light, and to the city's satisfaction and to the satisfaction of those property owners. While that has nothing to do with tonight's proceeding, basically he has agreed to use the low-level 1-story lighting in the rear of the building, and I imagine would do the same, but I believe he's already starting with the type of light that he switched to in order to satisfy the neighbors.
Thank you. Any questions? If you do, please hit the request to speak button on any of these that our planner went over with us. Okay, seeing no questions, is there anyone from the audience that has anything to say? I do not have any form. If you'd like to come forward, please state your name.
Good evening. I'm Daniel Nathan. I'm owner of the adjacent property, Calix Ice Cream, and here to voice my opposition to the project. We have a egress, ingress easement and a parking easement on the property. The building is going to violate the terms of the easement along with the whole master plan. So, it's going to wind up in court. From last year's meetings, I was told that it's a civil matter, so looks like that's where we'll have to head with it. But I just want to let it be known that my opinion of granting these permits is just aiding and abetting theft of my property rights. That's my personal opinion, and it should not happen. What good are property rights, the rule of law?
Thank you for coming in to speak with us today. Commissioner Dubinsky?
Yeah, I think I have a question for Gwen. When while we were going through I was going through the agenda and I was looking at these plans, it looked like, before this gentleman spoke, that the easement, they have the co-easement, that there was, the parking did not change for colleagues.
That's our understanding as well. The city has, and please, Madam Attorney, if I am incorrect, please do correct me, but the city has recently received an indemnification that's been executed regarding the potential dispute between the two adjacent property owners, the one who has presented this project, and then also Mr. Nathan, regarding their agreement between them.
Okay, so their agreement between them, we're indemnified from any action if we approve this project, because we're approving this project based on our zoning and planning and zoning. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes, Commissioner, although I would ask that, that's my understanding as city planner, but I would ask that, Madam
That
Attorney.
is, Attorney Bose,
that is
correct. Okay, that is, okay, so that is over and above and to whatever that we're doing this evening.
Correct.
Okay, great, all right, thank you. Okay, anyone else that wants to speak? If not, do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and this is RSP 120-23048, and Commissioner Card has had the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All right, Sherry, can you take a vote, please? Okay, the motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, next, we have this item that was brought up, I believe it was by Commissioner Dubinsky, and City Manager, am I turning this over to you? So this is something that the city manager and I have been working on for quite a while in our advocacy that we do with the beach, with the county. So, City Manager, can I turn this over to you, or is there, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know most of the commission knows exactly what this is about, but for the public, I'd like to give a brief overview. For all the condos that had seawall damage from Hurricanes Ian and Nicole, when they pulled a permit with Volusia County to repair their seawall, there's an ordinance that was adopted that you have in your packet before you tonight that requires them to do dune restoration in front of their seawall. Basically placing sand directly on the beach with plantings above it. I won't get into all the requirements of that dune, but it also provides them an option to, instead of doing the dune restoration, they can get a cost estimate from an engineer and pay into a fund that the county maintains. This is a requirement, and so some of the permits are still sitting open because this hasn't been done. Part of the wait is the county is doing its sand restoration projects, and we don't know how far up the beach that is going to come, but these permits are sitting open, and it's beginning to cause some issues for different condominiums. We also know that that sand, if we place it, we saw this with some of the rock revetments in that stretch of 30 homes, that when that sand is placed, this is really sacrificial sand. It's once placed, it's going to disappear. And the issue there is the ordinance still requires that condominium to replenish that sand every time it washes away. So the maintenance is now on basically maintenance of that portion of the beach falls onto that condo owner or that condo unit. So there was discussion about from some of our citizens. I've been hearing about this for quite some time, as has the mayor, from a large number of our citizens. And the county had deferred this requirement till December 31st, 2024. And they had talked about deferring it again, but all that is doing is kicking the can down the road. And to expedite this discussion, I'd like to propose a solution, ask of the county council which would be for the next meeting to prepare a resolution asking the county council to exempt any property that pulled an FDEP permit to repair or replace, or in some cases, even a new seawall, and make that ask. Now, I do understand that some condominiums have already paid this bill. And so as part of this resolution, a request of the county council, I'd like it to include that those condos that have already paid that share into the county's fund, that be refunded. Through the grapevine, been told that the county staff is looking at this option. I don't know what county council will do. I have spoken with County Councilman Matt Reinhardt, who appears to be in support of what we are asked of the county council. This would expedite it. Now, this does not mean that if in the future, in 2 years, you have to do a repair to your seawall, this Dune ordinance would still be in effect. But for the 100 or so that had to replace their seawall, this would be an immediate exemption of that future that's still on the table. So I hope I summed that up pretty clearly.
And I'll expand on that a little bit too. We know of one of our condos that, paid at least $13,000 to get this done. So I do not want to penalize any of the condos that went ahead to do this, because they needed that permit to close out their loans. So it was a domino effect for them. So any part of this resolution, absolutely, I would want. How could we find out which, would the county have the records of who paid?
Yes.
These funds, okay, all right, I would like that, as a backup documentation. So, what do you, if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask our city manager about this, please request to speak, and we can listen now.
A couple speakers.
Okay. Okay, and the first one we have is a citizen, Ed Offerman, if he would like to come up, please.
Ed Offerman, 3311 South Atlantic. Commissioners, thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate the city manager and the city staff especially looking into this. I know we had discussion, one of the commissioners last meeting, raised the issue, and I wanted to make the city aware of some other things after that meeting, which I forwarded that all to you. So you all have my backup on the specifics of the county resolution or the county ordinance. I could cite the ordinance here, but you all have it in front of you. So basically, I want to speak in favor of a resolution, and certainly it would be very advantageous and good practice to take the mayor's suggestion as well to exempt anyone who has previously paid that. So I want to thank you for considering the resolution. Hopefully, thank you in advance for doing it. And thank you for helping me keep my promise to Sherry, who I promised I would get done in less than 3 minutes. And here we go, 54 left.
Great, thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have Vice Mayor Politis.
Mr. Offerman and all the other condos that have been affected by the storms, and, this is cash money because these seawalls aren't insured. The last thing they need is to pay this additional payment to the county, and I agree. I'm hoping that the county council as a body will listen to the citizens and hopefully the municipalities and say, give these people a little bit of a break, especially since the state legislature enacted new laws that affected the counties, the condos, by having to put certain surplus, or monies in reserves as a result of the unfortunate disaster that occurred in South Florida. So, I'm hoping that there'll be some meaningful conversations and discussions, and ultimately some relief to these condominiums.
Great, thank you. So again, Commissioner Dubinsky?
Yeah, I just want to add it. It's kind of unusual. I believe that our city was the most affected by this hurricane, by these hurricanes, and other than the homes in Wilbur and stuff, there weren't a lot of condos, so this resolution is basically directed at Daytona Beach Shores, which is kind of unusual because it was a big hurricane, but we were the only ones really affected by it. I think it's a terrific idea, and I'm glad to hear that the county is actually listening.
Thank you. We're hoping. But again, you know, we called out Commissioner Matt Reinhardt, but there was other commissioners there that we want on board with us too. You know, Commissioner or County Danny Robbins represents New Smyrna that was affected, nothing to our degree. We would have in Ormond, we would have Commissioner Troy Kent, that I hope that he would support his Ormond too. So Kurt, were we going to perhaps pass this resolution on to other cities to ask them to go on board? Was that one of the things we had kicked around?
Yes, I'm told this may be coming back to the county as early as their first meeting in October. So I'll have to get with the city attorney and craft the resolution and distribute it to the other city managers along the coast and see if they want to adopt something similar.
Okay. Thank you for doing that. Commissioner Economos?
I just want to voice my support for the resolution as well.
Okay, great, thank you. So Sherry, do we need a vote on this to come up with the Attorney Voice, do we need a vote?
I would.
Okay, so first, do we need a motion to accept, to go ahead and have our attorney propose a resolution? Do we need a motion first for that? Do I hear a motion?
Also move.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Sherry, if you could take a vote on that, please.
We're getting pretty good at this.
We are.
Waiting on one.
Do you know who it is? Can you put it back up again, or?
Oh,
And is it gone from you, Mayor?
I don't see it.
Yeah, when I hit e-vote, it said you already cast a vote.
Yeah, we already voted.
Well, she's saying she didn't get my vote.
Man, let me see. Now he's there.
Okay, I'm sorry, the 30-second delay, right? Okay, thank you very much for your support of this, thank you. I'm sure each and every one of our condos will appreciate this, and this is just one more thing we're trying to advocate for the condos that suffered all of this, along with the insurance and everything else. So thank you very much for your vote of support, we appreciate it. Attorney Voice, do you have a report for us this evening?
Got one more item.
Consider the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is consideration, as we have done in the past, canceling the second meeting in both November and December. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make
So
that.
move.
Thank you.
Second it.
All right, so maybe I should need the speaker. All right, it sounds like it was the vice mayor and then Commissioner Dubinsky. Jumped on that quickly. Okay, so that was quick. That passed 5-0. And remember again, so in effect, October will be the last meeting that we will have scheduled, 2 meetings a month. We will go to the first Tuesday of every month, starting in January, unless we have a need for a special meeting. City Manager, do you have a report for us this evening? Oh, a city attorney,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
City Manager?
Good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. A couple of quick things. At the elected officials roundtable, and I've been kind of following this. This morning, Ben Bartlett gave a little presentation, who is the Public Works Director for the county, on the off-beach parking situation, and effective October 1, the county is putting in place the beach parking changes. I bring this up because if a resident after October 1 wants to drive on the beach, it's free, but their vehicle needs to be registered. And to do so, you go to www.parkvolusia.org. I checked it earlier today. The site is still under construction. But Ben did this morning talk about the different ways, whether you're a homesteaded resident or you have an out-of-state license, but you're a property owner. They have ways to check all of that without doing document uploads. If you have a unique situation, you might have to actually go to a physical location. But keep checking that site to be able to register your cars. And the question was asked, I believe, by the mayor this morning, how many cars can you register? Can you register your golf cart? And it's apparently unlimited. So if you have a golf cart and it's tagged for road use, you can register that as well to get on the beach with that. So it sounds like they have a pretty good plan for implementing that, but it's going to begin for non-residents to be $30 a day to access the beach. Again, residents free. They did, and this was a change, first time I heard this, but it's set up for auto renewal. Originally, we were being told that you would have to each year go in and renew your registration, but now they're saying auto renewal, which is great news. Which kind of leads into my next piece, and I'm going to...
Before you go on with that, I believe, now I don't want to misquote because I could be wrong, but I understand we're fortunate enough in the Shores that if you want a location to go in to register, if somebody isn't savvy online, so at 2422 Atlantic Avenue, we have one of the offices right here. I believe they said they had 1, 2, or 3 in the county. Fortunate enough in Daytona Beach Shores that we do have one.
And then the next piece of that will be the off-beach parking. Frank Rendon, Dahlia, and even the city properties that the county came and spoke with us about their program. And they are planning on implementing their off-beach parking paid program by the end of January. So I have a letter here that I'd like you to take a copy and kind of pass down. And I'd like to see at a real high level, if you'd like staff to bring back a more formal contract to proceed with beach parking, off-beach parking at city parking facilities. So the way it works is we would actually be paying up front a monthly basis. On the back side, you'll see they've, right now it's roughly $52 a month per parking space. So we would have to sit and identify each space. There's going to be some issues. We've already been approached by a couple of businesses that currently use for their businesses city marked off-beach parking. For example, Daytona Board Store has reached out to us. So there's still lots of questions, and we would have to work through a program once we were to implement this, exactly the standards, how we would meet. I'm trying to set a meeting with the county to coordinate shared databases between us and the county and have discussions about possible revenue sharing. If someone parks in the county park in the morning and our park in the afternoon, how would we treat that? Still a lot of unanswered questions. We might have to adopt some ordinance changes as well. Now,
Can you step back one? So the business that approached you, what is their ask? So if they have 10 spaces, for example.
they were asking, I believe, for 4, and I would bring that to you,
I'm sorry,
4 for
4
their use.
Oh, dedicated for, so
Dedicated
that would be
sort
4
of-
spaces that we would give up.
Yes, it'd be sort of like we have, and I can't remember if it's Andronopolis or Beachcomber. Whichever one is across from Emerald Shores.
It's Beachcomber.
Beachcomber. I believe they have 10 spaces there that are dedicated. So if we do implement this program, we're going to have to mark those 10 spaces dedicated to Emerald Shores. And we'll have to look at those agreements, and we can handle that on as we tighten up which spaces we would want to use. We did that presentation. I believe there were over 200 spaces. We may not want to actually sign all of those, but we'd bring that back. But the first thing would be to enter into a contract with the county's provider if we want to piggyback off of them. Now, don't pay too much attention to the projected revenues here. They did a stab in the dark, but we have no data on park usage for parking to be able to say we believe this is legit. They used about a 40% occupancy, I believe, is what he said.
And there could be times through the year that could be, but many times that.
I mean, there's many times I drive by Beachcomber and it's empty. So these numbers are, I think, highly inflated, trying to, I'll call it a good sales pitch, to entice us. But the catch is you do see there's a management fee there of $131,964 based on that price per parking space based upon 208 paid parking spaces. So we would be on the hook for the first year for that $160,000. It's possible we try it and lose money. Possible we try it and make money. I don't know, and nobody can really tell us what the impact is going to be from the county parks being pushed back to us. If it's, do we want to encourage it because the county's going to charge $20 a day? Do we say, hey, come park at ours for $15? We can set a different rate. Or do we want to say we're going to charge the same because we want them parking in the county before they fill up ours? Again, citizens would be exempt from those fees. So
your ask today is that we review this and then we discuss it further next meeting? What is your ask today?
Conceptually speaking, does the commission want me to bring back a contract with hammered out details and look further at spaces and those kind of things at the next commission meeting to implement a program or not?
And would this be a verbal, or should we vote on this if we would like?
I would like a vote on this.
Sherry, can you put up a vote, please?
Madam Mayor, I just had.
You've got some speakers, Mayor.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Have it here.
Vice Mayor's first.
Let me get back. Okay, Vice Mayor Politis?
I believe we should give authority to Kurt to go ahead and hammer out an agreement, and then we can review its contents and kind of, I mean, we're venturing into unknown waters, but I think we have to enter into an agreement to stay viable, and that way we can avoid a lot of towing and a lot of miscommunication and a lot of maybe ill will if somebody were to park in a city spot and then be towed. So I think it would behoove us to do so. And then you know what? Like our city manager said, maybe we'll see what first year does, and then we can always vary our rates or adjust our agreements with the company that's going to monitor all this. But I am inclined to say let's give him the authority to bring us back something for us to review.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Dubinsky?
Well, yeah, I've got a couple questions, Kurt. The, looks like the company, PCI, they take 65% of the citation that are issued.
Right.
So what are we paying $131,964 for exactly?
So that's
up front. I'm sorry for interrupting.
This is for their program. They manage all the software, everything that goes in it. When somebody signs up, they manage all the payments and everything for us. So the enforcement piece, this keeps us out of the enforcement. So on the fines is the portion above the whatever fee we set, the $20. That's how they make money on enforcement.
Okay, but
they get 65% of that fee.
Why? But from what I can see here, we're paying this money up front, and it's like everybody's saying, we don't know what, right? So why don't we, when you're negotiating this, why don't you offer them a higher percentage at least for the first year? We'll give you 75, 80%, and then we could figure out what it's worth? Or are we paying for the software, our share of the software that the county's buying? Who are we paying this money to?
It's monthly fee, $52 a space per month, to PCI. And they collect the money, they handle all of the, you scan the QR code, that whole software, everything is handled by them. Enforcement then is kind of a separate component. That's where the 65 comes in, and we went 65 because that's what the county contract is. And for piggybacking, and I'm looking at the city attorney, normally for piggybacking, you pretty much have to go word for word. You can change County of Volusia to City of Daytona Beach Shores.
It needs to mirror it.
So
The hammering out the pieces is more the determining which spaces and some of those things. And there will be pieces that we have to address in coordinating with the county on possibly having a joint program if we have revenue sharing in there. That will be a separate agreement, not related to PCI. But they would track that for us.
So PCI is making $52.87 a parking space, no matter what.
Yes.
Whether someone doesn't
Whether-
park in there all month, or if it's taken every month, every day.
Or every day or whatever. If nobody parks in there, we still pay. And so that first year, we don't know anything that's gonna happen, we're going to risk 107, okay. But
That's why I said it is a risk. We may lose money for 1 year, yes.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, Commissioner?
I don't have any more,
Okay,
no.
all right. Commissioner Economos?
I agree with Commissioner Dembinski. I'm concerned about that $131,964 management fee. So that is non-negotiable?
That is their, yes. I don't believe we'll all use all 208 spaces, so it will come down, but identifying which ones, because I think they counted the 10 Emerald Shores ones, and I think we had a couple other locations that had, allocated spaces. So it won't be all 208 that they used, but yes, we would be on the hook for that payment on a monthly basis, with the hopes that revenue would exceed that over the year.
I don't have any other speakers, so right now, Sherry, the vote would be that, not that we're going to approve this, the vote will be to have our city manager proceed on finding out more information, and what else are you asking for?
Bringing back a contract.
And bring it back to council. Okay, Sherry, if you can do a vote, please.
I don't have a motion or a second, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I hear a motion to have the city manager and staff go ahead and pursue this further?
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, and this again passed 5-0, and this is just to gain more information at our next meeting. Thank you.
Continuing on, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the news, but it appears that the governor is now considering calling a special session to address the condo SERS requirement and primarily the funding portion, it appears. About a month ago, he was asked, and he said, well, I'll leave it up to the legislature. And the Speaker of the House, and I believe the Senate President pretty much said, we're not interested at this time, but now he's looking at calling something in November. So it's going to be a tight time frame to address the December 31st deadline. But it would be with the new legislature, and it would be to address primarily the funding, it sounded like. So there may be hope on the horizon on that piece, even if they just extend it for a year till they can, in regular session, adjust the bill. That would be a big help to all of ours. And what I'm talking about is the requirement to have the study done of the building for safety and all the, I think it's 12 components.
The reserve
And then the
study.
reserve study, and then how much they have to start collecting from the residents. So I know that's a big, big issue in our community in particular, but it's a big issue across the state. So he is open to that. And the last thing I'd like to say, if you haven't seen it on Facebook, we have brought back with the opening of Krabby Joe's the end of summer bash. So that will be 5 to 7. Tickets are on sale. Did I steal your thunder, Mayor?
You did, but that's okay.
So that's 5 to 7 on September 27th. Tickets are available online through the city's website. It's $30 a person, $35 at the door if it's not completely sold out before that time. And we do have a concert in the park in McElroy starting at 6:30. So go get dinner, come to the park, enjoy a free concert. That's all I have tonight.
Okay, good. Those were both of my thunders, so I don't have.
Sorry.
No, I do want to say, we have not been able to have this since 2021. Krabby Joe's is so anxious to be back in the city and support our city. So let's try and support them by going out. I am checking right now, and City Manager, I didn't tell you, and I might as well tell Kim. Previously, they would allot a couple of meals for someone that doesn't eat seafood. So I'm gonna maybe see if Kim will call them and see if we can arrange. Now, normally it was on, oh, they will do that? Thank you very much, okay. Is it a hamburger? It's an expensive hamburger if you want a hamburger, a $30 hamburger, but if you so choose to do that, if you don't eat seafood, that's
Madam
fine.
Mayor, I believe it's chicken fettuccine Alfredo?
Yes. That's the choice?
That's the other option, yes.
Tammy, I don't know if you're dealing with them or not, if we can maybe see, last time there was a.
That's what they
That's what
said
they
they would make.
Okay, all righty. Okay, so again, please go, go and support them. It's just a wonderful time. If you haven't been there, it is just so nice. They've redecorated, and it's just gorgeous to look out at our beautiful beach and our skyline, seeing all of the condos. As the city manager said, right after that, we have the concert, our monthly concert. This one is not food trucks, thank goodness, so there won't be a conflict. And the next thing I want to tell you, we're back to Coffee with the Mayor, so it will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. upstairs in the community room. Our guest speaker is going to be
Wednesday, Madam Mayor.
Wednesday, oh, thank you. Today is Monday. It will be Wednesday, the 11th. Thank you very much. That was just to see if you were paying attention. Wednesday, the 11th at 10 a.m. upstairs, Sheriff Mike Chitwood. If you've ever heard him speak, he's just, you ask him any questions and you're going to get the answers, and he'll tell you what's going on in the community as well. So please join us. We're looking forward to that. We haven't had anything all summer long with Coffee with the Mayor, so we will be starting that back up again. If any of my commissioners wish to speak, please hit the request to speak button. I will not be calling on you like I normally do. Okay, so next, we gave you a couple of items to put on the agenda. Sherry, if you could please add those. Or do we have a speaker?
We have a speaker.
Yes.
All right, remember when we said about the.
For the guy who was least likely
I
to
know.
abide by all these
Right.
rules,
Okay.
I'm Johnny on the spot.
Oh, I have Commissioner Card?
Yes.
Oh, Commissioner Card.
Oh, I see.
I don't have you yet.
I requested it. I thought you said we could request in advance.
You can.
You can.
I did. Okay, well, I
You're
did.
there now. All right, you're there now.
We're
but
working out the
Commis-
bugs.
Yeah, Commissioner Card, you were first.
Yes, I just wanted to wish Kurt a happy birthday. Today's Kurt's birthday. It's been a long day, and happy birthday.
Yeah, it has been a long day. We were at the airport at 8 o'clock this morning, so a very long day. But happy birthday. Thank you. Okay, and Vice Mayor Politis?
I went to the TPO meeting back Wednesday, August 28th, so I brought back information. I think the coolest thing about me attending is that whatever they come up with, whatever they discuss, I try to bring it back to the city, either to help us in generating revenue or to help us in lowering our expenses. So DeBerry's city manager and their city commission has created what they call, rather than an impact fee, it's like a mobility plan. What it does is it requires developers or new homeowners who start new construction, this mobility plan allows the city to spend the money on bike and pedestrian and crosswalk, either improvements or installations, whereas the impact fee only goes for roads. So it was interesting, and I don't know much about it, but I was inviting Kurt, if he ever has the opportunity, to call the DeBary city manager and find out about this. We did a name change. We're no longer going to be called River to Sea TPO. It's going to be called Volusia Flagler TPO to reflect obviously the region. And then our chairman's changed. So Chris Cloudman, the mayor of City of DeLand, has relinquished it. Now, he was there for a couple of years, and now it's Mayor Partington from the city of Ormond Beach, and he did a great job. Bill's a wonderful chairperson, and he knows how to run a meeting, and it went really smooth. A lot of people just had a lot of statistics, how we're in the top 5 with regards to deaths in the state, and that growth is accelerating much faster than the roads and the sidewalks, and more people want bike and pedestrian widths to be expanded, but a lot of the roads that have been designed are not including that, and so there's a lot of friction. But it was a really well-run meeting, and they always have interesting speakers from the Florida Department of Transportation, and it's all available on their website. So for those people that are really interested in stuff like this, I always bring back the packet. You can always call me at my office because I don't do emails and I don't have a segregated cell phone. But I'll always save them in case anybody wants a copy, but you can go on the website. But I really enjoy going. Like I said, it's a really brilliant group of people, and they do a lot of good to try and accommodate growth, but also try and make it as rural as possible. It's so hard. Everywhere you look, there's new construction. It's just the sign of the times. I think we're in for, maybe not in the near future, but I'm thinking of 25 to 35, 40 years down the road. It's not going to be the same in Volusia County.
Okay, thank you. And I was going to talk about, so the city manager and I were at our, we have it every other month, the council on the elected officials. It's been a long day. You know, and some of the things, we had a wonderful meeting today. We had representatives there from Halifax, from Advent, from Florida Health, and SMA. So the SMA was more or less the presentation that we got at the mental health, but I was just so impressed listening to Halifax Health and Advent, some of the services that they offer, the buildings that they're, you know, meeting the needs of the city. Some of them that they've only had on the east side, they're gonna duplicate on the west side, the mental health, some of the cancer screening. So it was a great meeting. City Manager, do you have anything else to add about the meeting we had there today? Thank you. Yes, anyway, it was that. Do I have any other speakers? I don't see any, but I don't want to skip anyone. Okay, great, all right. They had to sign in like you did. Okay. So we do have the items for the next agenda that we talked about going along here. Is there any other items that we would like to add? If not, and I skipped audience participation, I do not have any forms for anyone that wants to speak, but as always, if anyone has anything on their mind that they'd like to speak about, we would love to hear from you. Okay, if not, the meeting, well, before we end, I want to thank everyone for your participation. I think we did reasonably well for our first time.
I think you did.
Does everyone feel pretty comfortable? I'm getting like, okay. The meeting's adjourned.
I'm going to keep it in the piece of paper that was here. Sherry.
Yes, and if you-
Sherry, before you run off,
Yes.
I keep